to the Wrestle Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky Duraeus. This is the Wrestle Havoc podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky Duraeus right here on the Wrestle Havoc podcast, here to review WWE Fastlane 2023. Of course, after I don't want to say a long, but it was pretty much a 3-week hiatus, or probably almost a 4-week hiatus, that I have been off not uploading videos right here on the channel. Of course, a lot of shit has been going down in the wrestling industry since I have been gone from YouTube. Of course, the WWE and UFC merger has officially completed, and TKO is officially a thing. Edge has left the WWE and is officially all elite. Jade Cargill is now signed with World Wrestling Entertainment, which is a big signing, big signing for WWE, and a lot of people are not really thinking a lot about it because the way that they are treating the arrival of Jade Cargill to WWE, it's pretty obvious as to why they are doing that. It's because of where she came from, that is AEW. Of course, we had all the releases happening. Shit ton has happened. We had Wrestle Dream last week, and of course, Wrestle Dream, I will talk about Wrestle Dream. I'm actually planning on covering it. I know I'm a little late on Wrestle Dream, but hopefully, at least maybe by tonight, I will get you guys a Wrestle Dream review right here on the Wrestle Havoc podcast. But I have been gone for a while. Number one, I started school. This semester at school has been a little bit hectic for me. My schedule's a little bit off. I actually, almost for the entire month of September, have missed basically Raw. I haven't watched Raw almost in the entire month of September, considering my schedule and all that stuff. And usually, you know, when it comes to covering the show, if there's one show that I'm just not going to cover, it's pretty much Monday Night Raw at the end of the day. Not to say that the show is bad, it's just the show is freaking 3 hours. I have been watching Dynamite. Dynamite has been phenomenal these past couple of weeks, especially leading up to Wrestle Dream now that we're headed now to Full Gear. SmackDown has been really good as well when it comes to characters and storylines. Just a lot of stuff going on in the realm of professional wrestling. WWE is continuing to stay hot. AEW, even though they're doing great when it comes to their shows, let's be honest with ourselves, their attendance is pretty much embarrassing at this point. If you guys watched Collision last night, you know what I'm talking about. The attendance at last night's Collision was fucking atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Like, I will fucking defend AEW through and through, but like, you know, bro, there's literally no excuse when it comes to the attendance when it comes to AEW. They've been fucking up recently. But nonetheless, we had Fastlane. I thought Fastlane was a pretty good show. Of course, a sold-out crowd for WWE Fastlane, and pretty much sold-out crowds are the norm for WWE shows because at this point, they are super hot right now. They are the talk of the wrestling industry. They're literally, I don't want to say at a boom period right now, but WWE has been doing tremendous business ever since Triple H took over in, of course, the summer of last year. And they're continuing on with that trend. Absolutely continuing on with that trend with Fastlane. Now we are headed towards Crown Jewel and then Survivor Series. And Survivor Series is another, can of discussions because, of course, Survivor Series is taking place in November in Chicago. And, of course, who lives in Chicago? Mr. Phil Brooks, CM Punk. There has been a lot of talks about CM Punk possibly making his return to the WWE, and the commentators on television throughout these past couple of weeks have been making slight teases about CM Punk. One example is Corey Graves. Corey Graves on commentary when he was running down the Fastlane card. Once he made it to Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins, he said one quote, and that one quote was the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he never existed. I wonder who said that. So from what it looks like, CM Punk, even though it's not official, and what's funny as hell is the people at the press conference last night for Fastlane did not ask about CM Punk. But one guy fucking asked about Taylor Swift. Clearly, what the hell is going on? But still, CM Punk, is he probably coming back to the WWE? At this point, I didn't believe it, and I didn't want to believe it. At this point, I'm starting to believe he's definitely on his way back to WWE. And with all due respect to AEW, when it comes to CM Punk, and if you're CM Punk, you probably want to give the biggest fuck you to AEW after everything that has transpired when you were over there. But we're going to be talking about CM Punk in a later video and all these other topics that I literally just ran down when I was gone, because a lot of shit has gone down in the realm of professional wrestling. But we're going to be talking about Fastlane. Overall, Fastlane I thought was a phenomenal show. Again, sold out crowd. 5 matches on the main card, and that has been the norm for WWE pay-per-views or premium live events, whatever the hell you want to call them. That has been the norm for a while now, and I think that formula works very, very, very well. It is exactly how a pay-per-view event should be. It's very similar to what NXT used to do with their takeovers. You know, takeovers would have like 4 or 5 matches on the card, and every one of those matches mattered. And that is exactly what we saw here. Was the card amazing? No, it was not one of the best cards that they have pulled off, but it definitely got the job done. We saw people like Cody Rhodes and JEY USO teaming up against the Judgment Day, and there has been a story going on with JEY USO. Of course, JEY USO is officially a part of the Raw brand ever since getting traded to Raw. And, of course, JEY USO is having enemies. Making a lot of enemies because of the stuff that he pulled when he was in the Bloodline. But, of course, Cody Rhodes is there being the top babyface. And let me tell you, I was against the idea of Cody Rhodes losing at WrestleMania this year, right? And I was afraid that, and a lot of other people as well, were afraid at the fact that Cody Rhodes, you know, the fans were eventually going to turn on Cody Rhodes. If anything, the fans are more behind Cody Rhodes now. It is fucking insane the way that WWE has been booking the babyface like Cody Rhodes. They're babyface characters like JEY USO and Cody Rhodes. The fans are so invested in this guy. It is absolutely insane. He's very similar. A friend even texted me like, bro, this kind of reminds me of John Cena, like a great role model for kids. It's very similar in that sense, and you just love to see it. We had that tag team match. Of course, we had the triple threat match between Charlotte, Asuka, and Io Sky. John Cena, yes, Mr. John Cena. You see him right here on this layout. Teams up with the fastest rising star in the WWE, says Mr. Michael Cole on commentary. L.A. Knight. That is not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Yeah. He teams up with L.A. Knight to take on, of course, Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Jimmy Uso has been unofficially a part of the Bloodline throughout the past couple of weeks. And, of course, it has been announced that Roman Reigns will be a part of SmackDown. He will finally make his return to WWE television since SummerSlam. It has been a long-ass time, to say the least. But Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa were phenomenal. Of course, Jimmy Uso is in the story. Is he in the Bloodline or is he out of the Bloodline? It's a very convoluted story, but of course, it's all going to make sense once Roman Reigns comes in. But John Cena and LA Knight, fantastic chemistry. They were awesome. Absolutely loved everything about this. And of course, we had the main event with Seth Rollins taking on Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship. You know, I as I've stated at the top of this review, I haven't been watching Raw, this past month, but I saw a little bit of the stuff that they have been doing with Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura. The way that they have been presenting Shinsuke Nakamura is exactly the way we have all wanted Shinsuke Nakamura to be presented ever since he got called up to the main roster after WrestleMania 33 back in 2017. This is the Shinsuke Nakamura that we need. The just sadistic, the serious Shinsuke Nakamura, not the comedic Shinsuke Nakamura that we have been known to see in the main roster for a while. And it's pretty much safe to say that Shinsuke Nakamura is in a better position now than he has ever been, ever since getting called up to the main roster from NXT back in 2017. But it was a phenomenal last man standing match, and Seth Rollins retains the World Heavyweight Championship. But without any further ado, of course, before I get on with all this craziness and I go through every match regarding WWE Fastlane, please make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestle Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Of course, if you guys want to follow me on social media, the Wrestle Havoc podcast is, of course, on social media. It's on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. So if you guys want to follow me on those social media platforms, you absolutely can. And of course, subscribe right here to the YouTube channel for more content. I'm actually planning on expanding my content. I'm actually trying to get a little more serious when it comes to the shorts, because not only the reach is much bigger when it comes to the shorts, but I think they're a little bit more entertaining in the types of shorts that I do. I basically did that with the whole CM Punk and Tony Khan situation. But if you guys haven't checked it out, go on my channel and check it out. But without any further ado, let's go on and talk about WWE Fastlane. Again, sold out crowd. The crowd is on their fucking feet. Cody Rhodes and JEY USO takes on the Judgment Days, Finn Balor, Damian, and Damian Priest for the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Overall thoughts on this match. My apologies. Literally, I have a runny nose right now. I feel like crap. But nonetheless, the entrances of Cody Rhodes and JEY USO, they never, never, never disappoint me. JEY USO, in my opinion, is fucking on another level. You know, will he ever be a main eventer? We have absolutely no idea. Clearly, they're marketing him as main event JEY USO. But JEY USO is, at this point, bro, his entrance, the way he does this with his arms, at this point, that shit is starting to become cool. Like, if I ever wanted to go to a WWE event, that is like the number one thing I'd want to do. I want to pull my arms back up and down like JEY USO, because just the visual of that is just fucking awesome. Cody Rhodes, bro, Cody Rhodes. You know, say what you want maybe about the direction that they're going with Cody Rhodes, but at this point we kind of all know that Cody Rhodes is going to be wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and he's going to be the guy to take the belt off of Roman Reigns. But bro, when was the last time that we've had a babyface that WWE tried to push and market as the top guy, and it has worked tremendously since like Steve Austin? You know, it's worked tremendously with John Cena. Don't get me wrong. It has worked tremendously with John Cena. But, like, the reactions that John Cena got, think about this. John Cena would always get those mixed reactions. Granted, they never turned him heel because, of course, he was a moneymaker. He was a money-making machine. But when it comes to Cody Rhodes, bro, the audience is just flat out invested in this guy. Like, the crowd, every time when he comes out, and you see it when he makes his entrance, when they do the whoa, when they... Like, they're literally singing his fucking song when he comes out. Like, it does not get any better than that. And every time when Cody Rhodes hits a move, like, that ending on SmackDown was fucking awesome. A lot of people said it gave them Attitude Era vibes. But, bro, Cody Rhodes right now is on another level. If anything, at first I did not like the idea of Cody Rhodes losing at WrestleMania. I'm now starting to think, hey, maybe Cody Rhodes losing to Roman Reigns and basically doing his own version of Hard Times makes total sense. Maybe. But honestly, Cody Rhodes is just fucking insane. And I love the chemistry between Cody Rhodes and JEY USO. I think they really have quite a bond if you really think about it. And it clearly showed at the press conference. A lot of people have been making jokes about, of course, JEY USO and Cody Rhodes at the Fastlane press conference. Apparently they were like stoned or something like that, or drunk. It was the funniest shit ever. Clearly wrestling's back at the end of the day. Wrestling is 100% back. But I'm going to be going through a little bit of this match. I didn't take notes on the whole match. The crowd was fucking invested 110% of this match. Cody is over with the audience. Cody goes for a superplex on Balor off the top. Priest and Jay tag in. Jay then fights off Priest, but then Jay goes for a right hand. We get a kick by Jay, but then he hits an uppercut. Jay then picks up Priest for the Samoan drop, but then Priest escapes. We then get the spinning enziguri by JEY USO. At this point, the crowd is up on their feet, but then Jay gets taken to the apron. Jay goes to the top, and then he hits a crossbody, and then we get a cover and a kick out. After that, we get a kick by Priest on the apron. Priest then flatlines Jay down to the mat. We then get a cover by Priest and a kick out, but then Priest runs into an elbow by Jay. Jay is on the top, but then Priest grabs Jay for the Razor's Edge attempt. After that, Jay escapes. Then he hits a right on Finn Balor, but then he takes Priest to the outside. Then Jay, from what it looks like, went for a tope, and then he takes Priest into the ring. Jay goes for the Uso splash. When they get a cover end to near fall when Balor comes in, Cody immediately goes for the Cody cutter. But then, of course, Cody is selling, I believe, the back of his neck. After that, Jay sets up Priest, but then Priest takes Jay, and then he misses the South of Heaven chokeslam. Jey Uso goes for the spear. After that, Jay goes to the top, but Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio come in. Clearly, Rhea Ripley is acting like the leader of the Judgment Day after all the shit that they have gone through, with Dominic losing his NXT North American title to Trick Williams at No Mercy last week to only regaining it this past Tuesday on NXT. Clearly, Rhea is acting like the leader. Jay super kicks Dominic, but then Jay and Rhea face off. Rhea waves at Jay, but then Jay goes to the top, but then Balor grabs his boot. Priest comes in, he ends up hitting a Hurricane Rana, but then Balor ends up going for the blind tag. After that, Balor goes for the coup de grace. After that, we get a cover and a near fall when Cody makes the save. The crowd goes absolutely ballistic when Cody made the save. Clearly shows how well this babyface run has been going for Cody Rhodes. It's funny. It's really funny, man. By the tail end of his AEW run, this guy was getting booed out of the fucking building. Now he's the biggest babyface in fucking wrestling. It's crazy. Maybe not the biggest babyface in wrestling, because clearly, in my opinion, the biggest babyface in wrestling is 100% MJF. MJF is doing such a fucking good job as a babyface, but that's another story for another time. But Cody Rhodes is on another fucking level at this point. But, of course, Jay made the save. Both teams get up on their feet, and, of course, they brawl it out. Cody hits a kick on Priest, countering a springboard. After that, we get a sling blade by Balor, but then Jay hits a super kick. Then he hits a super kick on one J.D. McDonough. Yes, J.D. McDonough, who's been basically mingling in bloodline business, in Judgment Day business. But J.D. McDonough came in, but he gets super kicked. Rhea basically has the briefcase and hits Jay with the briefcase. We then get a roll-up by Balor and a kick-out, but then Priest ends up going for a chokeslam on the apron on Cody. Priest then exposes the announce table. J.D. McDonough, by accident, hits Priest on his injured knee when Cody Rhodes ducks. And I believe he hit him with the briefcase, so that will cause a lot of tension. And you all know Damian Priest just does not like J.D. McDonough. Clearly it showed throughout the past couple weeks on television. One week they can all be on the same page. The other week they could just fuck up everything and they're not on the same page. What happens after that? Then Cody hits the crossroads on Priest on the table. Jay ends up going for a somersault on the outside. Jay is in the ring. He ducks Balor. He super kicks Balor. Cody goes for the tag. Then we get a phenomenal finish and a phenomenal combination by both Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, with Cody going for the Cody cutter while Jay does the 1D. Great combination maneuver right there. What a maneuver. What the fuck? I'm using the word maneuver. Cody then after that goes for the crossroads. And speaking of the crossroads that Cody hit on JD McDonough on SmackDown this past Friday, bro, JD McDonough sold that shit like $1 million. But Cody ends up going for the crossroads, and we get a cover. And Cody and Jey Uso win the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a phenomenal opening match to kick off WWE Fastlane. A lot of jokes on the internet saying that Cody Rhodes already finished his story. That is funny as shit, but clearly he did not finish his story. The story continues on. And no, the story does not target the World Heavyweight Championship. It clearly targets Roman Reigns, but we're not at that stage yet. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning, says Paul Heyman, right? But this was a great match. I think their chemistry will work very, very, very well. I think eventually, they're going to split off. They're going to drop and they're going to split off and they're going to go their separate ways. But do I eventually see them feuding in the future, maybe after they drop those titles? I don't think so. I have absolutely no idea. But nonetheless, I think the idea of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso winning the tag team championships from the Judgment Day not only further elevates the story of the tension going on with the Judgment Day, but it further elevates the story of Jey Uso. Not only that, it elevates the story of Cody Rhodes. And that is the biggest takeaway that I can give you from there. We really do not know the actual direction when it comes to Cody Rhodes at this point. We know he's going to go after Roman Reigns, but Like, we have the Royal Rumble coming up. I do not see him winning the Royal Rumble, honestly. He may win for his second year in a row, but honestly, I don't think he will do that. I think he will eventually maybe win the Elimination Chamber or something. I have no idea. But with Jey Uso, I love the story that they're telling with Jey Uso when he was on Raw, with him having a shit ton of enemies on Raw because of the actions that he had done when he was in the Bloodline. And Cody Rhodes is basically his only friend. He's having problems with Drew McIntyre, all that shit. I think it's intriguing. But really, if you think about it, I think Cody's and Jey Uso's title reign is only going to last maybe a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months, tops. I do not see them holding those titles up until the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber. I just do not see that being the case. But I think their title reign will be pretty good, and I do think that they will do great things with them. And then hopefully, once they drop those titles, their true direction is going to go into fruition down the line. But really, the bigger story is Judgment Day. First Dominic lost his North American title. Granted, he won it back on NXT, but now Finn Balor and Damian Priest lost the tag team titles, of course, because of the actions, by accident, of course, but the actions of JD McDonough. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Clearly, Mommy is not going to be happy, but it is what it is. In our next match, we got the LWO, Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, in a 3-on-2 handicap match, taking on Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I've been enjoying what Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are doing. I've clearly have stated that, the Street Profits pairing with Bobby Lashley is clearly the direction that they need to go, especially for the Street Profits, because I can remember last year there's been a lot of talk, including myself, of the Street Profits possibly splitting up. And clearly at this point, I don't think right now is the right time for them to split up. I think there's a lot of gas in the tank for them to still be a tag team, and they can do more things as a tag team, because if you think about it, ever since they got called up to the main roster, they have been utilizing and doing the same type of shtick, which is not a bad shtick. It's not a bad character. They're not bad characters. It's just they've been doing the same things over and over and over again. And honestly, if you think about it, I think a new direction and them pairing them with Bobby Lashley, it was the right direction to go. Now, the pairing with Bobby Lashley throughout this past month, it has been interesting, because there have been scenarios in which Bobby Lashley, in their matches has been going intense. Like maybe during the Street Profits matches, Bobby Lashley one moment would be happy, but then Bobby Lashley would be like, bro, take this shit seriously, bro. This shit's seriously. We're serious. This is business. So it's very, very interesting storytelling that they're telling with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, but I'm very much intrigued. And the LWO, of course, we had I don't want to say a new member, because this member showed up at Backlash, but Carlito, yes, Carlito Cool, I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool, showed up near the end of this match, and the pop was absolutely crazy. Of course, if you guys do not recall, Carlito did show up at Backlash in Puerto Rico this past April, and it was absolutely amazing, man. During the match between Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, that match was off the freaking charts. Probably one of the best matches of the entire year. But nonetheless, this was a pretty good tag team match, of course. I do not recall what happened to Joaquin Wilde and Cruz El Toro. Please, I completely forgot what happened to them. Did they get attacked or anything? I believe they got attacked. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't pay attention to that. I've been kind of on and off. Not in a bad way to WWE. I've just been busy with a lot of shit. But, of course, hence the reason why Carlito Cool came out. And there's been a lot of speculation about Carlito showing up to the WWE, whether he was signed or not. It was very interesting. I believe he's been doing independence, but I'm glad he's back. He really deserves it, man. Even at Carlito's age, Carlito is physically he's fucking insane. Like he looks very good at it for his age, and I think he could do great things, especially a part of the LWO. Santos goes for repeated kicks on Ford. We get a series of back and forth by both. Santos goes for a kick on the apron, but then Santos goes for a crossbody off the top. Ford goes for a right hand. After that, both men are on the top, but then we get a beautiful Hurricane Rana by Santos on Ford off the top. We get a chop block by Ford, but then Dawkins goes for the tag. Lashley tags in. Lashley goes for a spear into the corner, but then we get a swinging neck breaker by Lashley. We then get the hurt lock by Lashley, but then Santos escapes. Lashley continues to be in control, but then Lashley picks up Santos. He ends up hitting a delayed vertical suplex. Dawkins tags in, and he goes for the cover, and we get a cover and a near fall. Dawkins is in control, but then Escobar goes for a drop kick, but then Ray tags in. Then, after that, Ray goes for the head scissors. After that, we get a kick by Ray, but then he takes out Lashley, but then we get a drop kick on Dawkins. Dawkins is on the middle rope, but then Lashley goes for the blind tag. Lashley catches the 619 attempt by Ray. He drags him to the floor, and then Lashley picks up Ray. He drives him down to the mat face first. Ford makes the tag. He hits the standing frog splash, and then we get a kick by Ford, but then we get repeated stomps on Ford into the corner. Ray gets sent to the corner, but then Dawkins tags in. We get a stomp after by Ray. The heels are in control. Lashley runs through the shoulder first onto the post. After that, Dawkins makes the tag. Ray tries to tag in Santos, but then Santos gets dragged out by Ford. Zelina Vega then takes out Ford with the Meteora. Ray counters Dawkins with the DDT, but then Ford tags in. At this point, he is in control. Ray tries to fight back, but then Ray goes for the Enziguri. Then Carlito comes out. He tags in. We get repeated clotheslines on Ford. We get a drop kick on Carlito. The crowd just absolutely popped for Carlito. Of course, I talked about Carlito right before I went through this match. He takes out everybody. Ray goes for a senton on Dawkins. Santos then goes for the top rope. I completely messed up my notes over there. Ford misses the Enziguri. Carlito goes for the backstabber. And we get a cover, and Carlito, Rey Mysterio, and Santos Escobar, the LWO, get the win. Pretty good match. It does suck that the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley lost, because if you're trying to establish a new trio or a new faction or a new version, I should say, of the Hurt Business, I think you really should book them strong, but maybe there's some sort of story going on between the chemistry between, the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Who knows? But clearly the LWO is way hotter than what they're doing with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. But I do see, hopefully, the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley eventually, becoming successful further on down the line. Io Sky takes on Charlotte, takes on Asuka in a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. My apologies, I sound like crap. All right, let's go through this. This was a pretty good triple threat match. I'm not going to go through the whole match, but I haven't really been invested in what they were doing with this particular feud. Io Sky clearly is going to hold on to that title for a while. Of course, the story is Io Sky wants to do a lot of the stuff as the champion on her own, but Bayley eventually interferes in her matches, basically helping Io Sky retain her title. And we definitely saw that in the match that she had with Asuka a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown. Eventually, further on down the line, when it comes to her title reign, Bayley wants to go after Io Sky. That is the story that we're clearly seeing right now. But they haven't teased anything like dramatic yet. I mean, they're still kind of like buddy together, even though we have seen a lot of shenanigans by Bayley. But when it comes to Damage Control, I clearly said Damage Control was a failed experiment, but I may be wrong as to right now, because I feel like when it comes to the story that they're telling with Bayley and Io, clearly they're setting the stage for an eventual feud between the two. It's pretty obvious. It's Wrestling 101. It's going to happen. But the match itself, Asuka and Charlotte looked great. I'm not the biggest fan of Charlotte, obviously. Every time, when somebody has a title, she immediately comes out. She's always thrusted in the main event scene when it comes to the women's title. But thankfully, she didn't win. But nonetheless, I thought this was a very, very, very good match. Everybody did their part, and everybody definitely showed off in this match. But that finish was fucking badass, man. Io Sky is fucking tremendous. So Io misses a moonsault. Asuka goes for a drop kick. We get a series of roll-up reversals by both Asuka and Io. Io runs into a kick by Asuka, but then Charlotte comes back with the big boot. Charlotte then ends up going for a fall-away slam, but then we get a series of chops by Charlotte. Io then is behind on Charlotte, but then Charlotte drags her. Charlotte goes for a right hand and then ends up hitting the back suplex. We then get a roll-up by Charlotte. Io then escapes with a double stomp. Asuka and Io whip Charlotte into the corner, but then Charlotte later counters and regains control. Io then applies the crossface on Charlotte. Then we get the high kick by Asuka. Later on, Io is on the apron. Io goes for a drop kick. She goes to the top, but then Asuka misses, or I should say, she doesn't miss. She's on the middle rope. Asuka goes for a German suplex on Io off the middle rope. Then after that, we get a cover by Asuka and a near fall. Charlotte goes to the top, but then Charlotte, of course, goes for repeated chops. Io and Asuka try to suplex Charlotte, but then Charlotte instead suplexes both Io and Asuka, which was pretty dope to say the least. Charlotte continues to be in control. Then we get a clothesline by Charlotte, but then we get later on a cover and a kick out. Later on in the match, Charlotte spears Asuka. We get a cover and another kick out. Bayley comes in. Io's on the outside. After that, she takes Io to the apron. Charlotte goes for the boot. Asuka's off the top, but then she ends up hitting a code breaker. And what happens is she goes for the cover on Charlotte, right? Charlotte then later on applies the figure 4. And of course, once Charlotte applies the figure 4, she transitions that shit into the figure 8. After that, Bayley distracts the referee. Then Io, out of nowhere, hits the moonsault, a beautiful moonsault on both women. And we get a cover. And Io Sky retains her WWE Women's Championship. Great finish right over there, man. I think Io Sky, even though she's still paired with Bayley in Damage Control, bro, we need more singles when it comes to Io, man. Io has been on a fucking tear. She's been pulling out some great matches, to say the least. And honestly, we need more of this. More banger matches when it comes to Io Sky. But Io retains, and that is great to see. And I do not think she will be losing that title anytime soon. Pat McAfee. Yes, Mr. Pat McAfee. Who doesn't love Pat McAfee, right? Pat McAfee comes out, and of course, he talks about how Indianapolis deserves a WrestleMania. Man, it's going to be a common occurrence now. Every fucking city wants a WrestleMania. It's not a situation where WWE wants to go to this particular city. They will only go to that city, of course, if that city pays them enough money to go to that city, and rightfully so. WrestleMania is at a stage where it's such a fucking huge show that people are able to bid for that show. It's business common sense. It makes total sense. But we saw this with John Cena and Money in the Bank in London, and clearly we all know why they did that. Look, we would all want a WrestleMania in London, clearly, 100%. But let's be brutally honest with ourselves. The only reason as to why John Cena went out there the way he did and talked about how, hey, you guys are loud. I want you guys to, have a WrestleMania. Please react loud, is because of the fact that clearly a couple months later, there was a little show called All In at Wembley Stadium. That's the only reason why. But we're not going to be seeing a WrestleMania in London anytime soon. Of course, next year WrestleMania is going to be in Philadelphia. But Indianapolis, man, they could easily get a WrestleMania. Who knows? Oh, my God. I think I disconnected my headphones. No, I did not, actually. Jesus Christ. I'm all over the place. I apologize. I haven't done this in almost a month. Jesus Christ. But he plays into the crowd with the yes chants. He says, if you guys want to have a WrestleMania, give me a hell yeah. Shout out to Stone Cold Steve Austin and all of you. And before he sits down with Michael Cole, and one thing, man, every time Pat McAfee comes out, bro, the excitement on Michael Cole's face. You can tell, man, every time when Pat McAfee comes out, Michael Cole is like literally the happiest fucking man alive. And rightfully so, man. If anything, Pat McAfee has elevated Michael Cole even more. He really has. Like, ever since he came into the commentary team 2 years ago, Michael Cole has sounded, much better than he usually would. Even, like, he was not as good as he is now when Vince was still running things, but clearly it showed when Triple H first took the book, Michael Cole has been on another level. And you can tell, man, fans have now grown to appreciate, the work that Michael Cole has done. Like, Michael Cole originally was hated by a lot of people, including myself. Granted, it was not his fault. It was all the shit that Vince told him to say in his ear. But, ever since Triple H took the book, Michael Cole has been on another level. Absolutely on another level. You can tell the investment that Michael Cole is in, and you can tell the enthusiasm that he has on the product. He just knows what he's talking about, and that is what you really need in a commentator, and that is great to see. But it's great to see Pat McAfee back. But of course, he introduces the 16-time world champion who will be tag teaming with LA Knight, Mr. John Cena. And then we got John Cena and LA Knight to take on Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline. Of course, Jimmy Uso, the man who helped Roman Reigns retain the Undisputed Championship at, of course, Tribal Combat this past July at SummerSlam in Detroit at Ford Field. And now we clearly have seen Jimmy Uso has unofficially inserted himself back into the bloodline, which is very weird to say the least. Granted, Roman Reigns appreciates the fact, and I'm only talking from a kayfabe perspective, Roman Reigns appreciates the fact that Jey Uso helped him out. You know, he wants him to have a yacht. You want to have a yacht, you want to have a car, you want to have a house. All on me. Thank you so much for helping me retain the title. But he never said anything about him joining back the bloodline after everything that Jimmy Uso in particular has caused. Because if you guys do not remember, at Night of Champions, Jimmy Uso was the one that super kicked Roman Reigns. Not once, but twice. And now Jimmy Uso just wants to insert himself back into the bloodline. At first, it was very confusing and it made absolutely no sense. Because, why the fuck would a guy like Jimmy Uso, who super kicked Roman twice, basically spearheaded all this whole situation and problems with the bloodline, finally want to insert himself back? You know what I'm saying? It's if you think about it, it's kind of very convoluted and very confusing, to say the least. I don't want to say it's very WCW NWO-esque, because WCW is known for doing a lot of shit like that, especially when the NWO was running rampant, especially right around 98. They were doing a lot of shit like that. But clearly there was a bigger story when it comes to Jimmy Uso and him inserting himself, unofficially being a part of the bloodline. And Roman Reigns is going to be making his return this coming Friday on SmackDown. So when Roman Reigns shows up, you know shit's going to go down. And that is the vast importance of why Roman Reigns is the way he is, and he is very valuable. The less Roman Reigns is on TV, yeah, it does suck. But every time when Roman Reigns is not on TV, and then there are nights where he does show up on TV, the nights when he shows up on TV, he immediately has your attention. Roman Reigns at this point of his career, of course, we all know, he is the top draw. He is the biggest star in this industry. Nobody is going to dispute that. And nobody can dispute that. And if you dispute that, clearly, you're a fucking idiot. But Roman Reigns right now, he is at a point in his career where he's not just a draw. He's an attraction. And that's what people need to understand. When you're an attraction in this business, there's no stopping you. You can literally do whatever the fuck you want. And Roman Reigns' schedule, clearly he's an attraction. And once Roman Reigns shows up, he demands all of our attention. And shit's going to get very interesting when it comes to Jimmy Uso, because Jimmy Uso unofficially has been calling some quote-unquote shots. But let's go through this match. Damn. I have a runny nose. I apologize if I sound like crap. I haven't done this in almost a month, guys. Please bear with me. John Cena and Jimmy Uso start the match. The Bloodline really have been gaining offense throughout the majority of this match. John Cena, LA Knight didn't really wrestle a lot in this match. It was really all John Cena getting beat the shit by Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. We get a shoulder tackle by Cena multiple times. Cena goes for a series of shoulder tackles, but then Solo no-sells later on because Solo's the legal man. Solo hits an uppercut. Jimmy and Solo are in control over John Cena. Basically, they just run roughshod on John Cena. Cena tries to tag in LA Knight, but multiple times LA Knight either he gets dragged out or Cena gets pulled back by one of the members of the Bloodline. Cena tries to fight back later on in the match on Solo Sikoa. Solo goes for a spinning heel kick, but then Jimmy tags in. Cena immediately picks up Jimmy Uso, and he ends up hitting the AA or the FU, whatever you want to call it. Cena goes back down. Solo tags in, but then he takes out Knight and almost tags in Cena. Or basically, LA Knight almost tags Cena, or vice versa. Then after that, we get a headbutt by Solo Sikoa. Meanwhile, Mr. Paulie, Mr. Wiseman, is talking with Roman Reigns on the phone, apparently. Or just narrating everything that is going on in the match. LA Knight has yet to enter this match. So basically, again, as I've stated earlier, the majority of this whole match, LA Knight was not even wrestling in this match. Because, of course, they were waiting for that hot tag. And trust me, all of that was worth it, because once LA Knight made that hot tag, the place, the arena, the roof off that arena blew up. Absolutely blew up. Solo goes for the cover into kick out. Cena gets his knees up on Solo Sikoa, but then he tags in LA Knight. Once LA Knight made that tag, man, the crowd went ballistic. They went apeshit for Mr. LA Knight, because it is not an insult. It is a fact of life. Yeah, Okay, that's my little LA Knight impression. He's just fucking awesome. We get a swinging neck breaker on Jimmy Uso. We get repeated stomps on Jimmy. Then, of course, we get a DDT by Knight. Jimmy hits a super kick. We get a cover by Jimmy and a near fall. Jimmy goes to the top. He misses the Uso splash. Knight then plants Jimmy down with the slam. We then get an elbow drop by LA Knight, and then we get a kick by Solo. Then after that, we get the Samoan drop by Solo Sikoa. Off the top, Cena ends up hitting a crossbody out of nowhere. We get the Uso splash by Jimmy. At this point, everybody is down. Knight fights off the bloodline. Yeah. And then we get repeated right hands by Knight. Yeah. That was a common occurrence. Every time when he hit a right hand, after the right hand, you go like, yeah. Or, yeah. After that, Knight gets taken down to the outside. Cena picks up Solo. We get a super kick by Jimmy making the save. Jimmy goes to the top, but then Knight comes back. He ends up hitting a superplex. Then Cena is in the ring. He gets his hand up. After that, goes for the 5-knuckle shuffle, man. The crowd went ballistic for this as well. After the 5-knuckle shuffle, 5-knuckle shuffle, Jesus Christ. After that, LA Knight comes in, and LA Knight is the legal man. He goes and hits the BFT, the blunt force trauma, and we get a cover, and LA Knight and John Cena win the match. This was a phenomenal match. John Cena and LA Knight are great. LA Knight, man, let's be brutally honest with ourselves. LA Knight is just on another fucking level. You know, you may call LA Knight, I don't give a shit what anybody says. You may call LA Knight a knockoff of The Rock, but if you really think about it, and this goes for any wrestler, like, clearly any wrestler will take, you know, inspiration off of another wrestler, and clearly LA Knight, you know, takes off inspiration from The Rock, but he has used it in a way where it just works in his favor. Think about this. Before he was in the WWE, LA Knight, you know, still used the LA Knight character. He was just called Eli Drake. But, bro, LA Knight right now is just on another level, man. The amount of, I don't even know if this is a word, but the amount of overness that he is. Like, he is so over right now. Like, eventually he's going to win a mid-card championship. But, bro, like, LA Knight, man, he's literally on the verge of becoming one of the top stars in the company right now. He's one of the biggest acts in the company right now. And honestly, with the route that they're going with LA Knight, bro, keep that train rolling. Keep that train rolling, because clearly LA Knight is very valuable to your roster. Clearly very valuable to your roster. And I wouldn't be surprised that hopefully maybe a couple months down the line he eventually wins maybe an Intercontinental or U.S. Championship. Clearly that is going to happen, man. This man is on the verge of becoming one of the biggest baby faces, not only in the entire WWE right now, but in the entire wrestling industry. And that says a lot about a lot of people. Like MJF right now is one of the hottest baby faces right now. Cody Rhodes is on another fucking level. Like, holy shit. And JEY USO as well, man. Baby faces in wrestling are running roughshod in the wrestling industry right now. You just love to see it. Backstage with the Judgment Day, Priest is pissed off and he wants to cash in, but then Rhea, who is the unofficial boss of the Judgment Day, I actually like the fact that Rhea Ripley is the boss of the Judgment Day and making all the shots. Rhea is like, not tonight. Not tonight. So clearly we're not going to get a cash in. Then we got the main event. We got the main event with Seth Rollins defending his World Heavyweight Championship in a last man standing match against Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I haven't been watching Raw throughout almost the entire month of September, but I've seen some of the stuff that Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura have been doing. I love the new presentation of Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't want to necessarily say it's a new presentation. This is the type of presentation that Shinsuke Nakamura has needed for a long-ass time, ever since getting called up to the main roster. I said this at the top of this review. Shinsuke Nakamura right now is on another fucking level in a good way. Did he lose this match? Yeah. But just because you lose this match doesn't mean you're fucking buried. That's a common notion that wrestling fans have. Wrestling fans believe that if you lose a match, you get buried. But that is not the case. Even though Shinsuke Nakamura lost this match, they showcased Shinsuke Nakamura tremendously well. Shinsuke, if anything, brought the fight to Seth Rollins. It was not vice versa. It was clearly throughout the majority of this whole last man standing match. Shinsuke Nakamura brought the fight to Seth Rollins. The match went to the stage, it went to the crowd, you name it. Everything about this match was great. It told a great story. I thought Shinsuke just flat out murdered Seth Rollins, especially near the end of that match. There were literally times in the match, because clearly there are no pinfalls or submissions in a last man standing match. Of course, the objective of the match is you have to get up before the count of 10. But there were times in this match where I actually thought Shinsuke Nakamura was going to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm somebody at the belief that Seth Rollins is not losing that world title anytime soon. I believe that the guy that he will drop that World Heavyweight Championship to is none other than Gunther. Gunther is clearly, 100% clearly, going to beat Seth Rollins for that World Heavyweight Championship. It's pretty obvious at this point. But nonetheless, let's go through this last man standing match. Rollins misses a boot. Shinsuke retreats to the outside. Shinsuke then, Rollins gets out a kendo stick. Shinsuke then drags Seth to the outside. He drives him on his back. Common occurrence. Then he sends him to the barricade. We get a series of "We want tables" chants. Shinsuke tries to hit a suplex, but then instead Rollins hits a suplex of his own. Seth Rollins takes out the padding and exposes the floor. Then Rollins picks up Shinsuke. Shinsuke escapes, but then Rollins drives Nakamura onto the steel steps. Rollins is in control over Shinsuke, but then Seth takes out the steel steps. He drives it on Shinsuke, but then he throws the steps, but Shinsuke ducks. Seth then misses the stomp. And after he missed the stomp, after that, we get a rolling elbow by Seth on Shinsuke. He takes Shinsuke back into the ring. Later on in the match, basically, he takes out a table. And then he takes out another table. Shinsuke's on the apron. Nakamura goes for a kick. We get a running kick by Shinsuke on Seth. Then he drives his knee on Seth. But then after that, Shinsuke, throughout the beginning of the match, works on the back of Seth. Shinsuke then grabs nunchucks. Yeah, nunchucks. And he hits it on Seth multiple times, I believe on his knee. After that, Shinsuke goes for a sliding German. Shinsuke is in control. Rollins gets up at the count of 6, but then Shinsuke places the trash can on the head of Rollins. Hits Rollins repeatedly with the kendo stick, but then Shinsuke drives the chain of the nunchucks on the face of Seth Rollins. After that, Shinsuke drives his knee on Rollins, but then Shinsuke applies a sleeper hold. Rollins then fights back with the sling blade, but then Rollins gets up. After that, he grabs the kendo stick and he hits Shinsuke with the kendo stick. After that, we get repeated shots with the kendo stick. He hits Nakamura with the trash can. Rollins ends up going for the tope after that. Seth then later on goes for a shot with the stick. Then he hits the running knee. He goes to the top, and then he hits the frog splash. Rollins gets up. Shinsuke, though, gets up at the count of 8. Nakamura then counters Seth. He chokes him with the stick, and then he hits the backstabber. Then he hits the running knee on Seth Rollins, but then Shinsuke sets up the table into the corner, but then Shinsuke plants Seth Rollins to the mat. Shinsuke then misses the Kinshasa and lands on the table. Seth goes for the stomp, but then Seth is on the apron. Shinsuke gets up at the count of 8, but then Shinsuke gets sent to the outside. Seth then exposes the announce table. After that, he takes out a ladder, and the ladder will play a huge role later on in this match. He drives it on Shinsuke. Rollins then sets up the ladder on the announce table, but then he hits a right hand on Shinsuke. Seth climbs the ladder, but then Shinsuke escapes. Then Seth comes back. He drives Shinsuke on the apron, but then on the barricade. Shinsuke then gets sent to the barricade once again. Seth ends up hitting a chair on Shinsuke, but then both men are by the stage. Seth picks up Shinsuke, but then Shinsuke escapes and sends Seth to the barricade once again. Shinsuke and Seth are on the steps. Seth goes for repeated right hands, but then Rollins tries to fight back. Shinsuke goes for a low blow, and then he kicks Seth down the floor. Seth ends up going up at the count of 9. Damn near almost loses that title. Nakamura hits a chair on Seth repeatedly. Both men get to the ringside area. Shinsuke continues to hit Seth with the chair, but then Shinsuke misses a shot. Both men, of course, are on the concrete floor. Seth tries to go for the pedigree, but then Shinsuke goes for the backdrop on Seth on the concrete. Shinsuke then takes Rollins into the ring. Once we're back into the ring, Shinsuke runs into a super kick by Seth, but then Seth ends up hitting the pedigree. Shinsuke is down, but then Seth is up on the outside. Shinsuke gets up at the count of 9, but then Seth has the table. Shinsuke then drives Seth on the apron, but then Seth is on the table. Shinsuke drives his knee on Seth through the table, but then Seth gets up on his feet. Shinsuke has a chair, and he just bashes Seth Rollins with the chair at this point. So Seth Rollins at this point in the match just getting murdered. We're damn near in the end of this match. Rollins sends Shinsuke to the post. He looks at the ladder. Rollins grabs Shinsuke to the announce table, but then Rollins climbs the ladder. Shinsuke escapes and climbs the ladder, but then Seth tries to superplex Shinsuke. Shinsuke then spits the red mist on Rollins. After that, he drops him through the table. Seth barely beats the count, and he gets up at the count of 9. Seth is back into the ring. Shinsuke drives him with the chair, but then we get the Kinshasa through the table. Seth gets up at the count of 9 using leverage on the outside, which is very smart. It was a common occurrence with both men in this match. After that, Rollins gets sent to the timekeeper's area. Shinsuke continues to punish Seth. After that, Shinsuke takes Rollins to the platform. Shinsuke picks up Rollins. Rollins escapes. He ends up hitting the pedigree, and he stomps Shinsuke. Rollins gets up. Shinsuke was this close to getting up, but he stays down. And, of course, Rollins ends up winning the match, and he retains the World Heavyweight Championship. Overall thoughts on this whole match. This was a phenomenal match. I enjoyed this match. If I missed anything, please forgive me. This match was pure chaos, and a lot of shit was going on. But nonetheless, Seth Rollins has been doing great as the World Heavyweight Champion. I know some people are not really too fond with this babyface run that Seth Rollins has been going on. But honestly, I mean, at this point, you know, I don't really mind. I mean, if Seth Rollins is over, he is over, and you can't deny that. So if you're bored about Seth Rollins, you're clearly in the minority right now. But nonetheless, I thought this match was great. I thought the way that they showcased Shinsuke Nakamura was everything that they needed to showcase him as. I think Seth Rollins definitely brought the fight to Shinsuke Nakamura, and I think Shinsuke Nakamura definitely looked 100% strong in this match. So even if he lost, he still looked strong in the process. Now, the bigger question is, what do we do with Seth Rollins? That is the interesting thing. What do we do with Seth Rollins? I do not know. There's been a lot of rumors about CM Punk recently. If CM Punk shows up at Survivor Series, could CM Punk's first feud be against Seth Rollins? That is just speculation on my end. I don't think this will happen, but I mean, the rumors of CM Punk making his return to the WWE are getting closer and closer and closer. Like, we're getting closer to Survivor Series, and these rumors are growing stronger and stronger and stronger by the day. So who knows? But what else? What about Gunther? Gunther clearly is a guy to take that title away from Seth Rollins, but who knows? It's very interesting to see what's going to be going on when it comes to Seth Rollins, but I'm very intrigued on what is going to be going on in the next couple of months. But honestly, I do not know what's going to be happening with Seth Rollins, who his next feud is going to be against. It's going to be very interesting to see where this title reign goes for Seth Rollins. But Seth Rollins has retained the World Heavyweight Championship. And yeah, that was my WWE Fastlane review. Overall thoughts on this show. I thought this was a phenomenal show. Much like almost every PLE that WWE has produced this year, the year of 2023, they've been hitting home runs, man. You know, say what you want about the weekly shows, and they're not perfect, but you know, their pay-per-views have been off the fucking charts. You know, there may have been one dud, but like honestly, the majority of their pay-per-views have been very good. And this was no exception. Payback was a great show. This show was a great show. Of course, we're going to have Crown Jewel, and then we're going to have Survivor Series. So there's a lot of interesting developments going on, and WWE right now is just riding high at this point. I think it's pretty much safe to say that they're on another fucking level at this point. But yeah, that was my WWE Fastlane 2023 review. Right here on the Wrestle Havoc podcast, of course, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the Squared Circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys all for the AEW Wrestle Dream review. Peace.